Now there is a disease going on with support players right now. And usually I don't make videos like this, but I want to make this video. So recently I've seen a lot of hatred, but also support of strategist players or support players in Marvel Rivals. Now, as someone who plays support, I love it. I love seeing support for one of my main roles, right? DPS and support, my main role, but I do know tank, right? But beside from the love all strategist players get, because oh my god, no one plays strategist, which just isn't true. There's a stigma that they're all carried, and I wanted to talk about it because I think there is an ego disease within the strategic community. Not because I don't play strategist, of course, because I just said I main it with DPS, but because there's a few things that is always at play with support players and strategic players that are never at play with DPS and tank. So this is simply going to be a discussion on why support players have an ego disease and how, why, where, when, and who. Well, we know who, but this is all this video is going to be about. So first off, support's never at fault. Support is the hardest role to play. Those are going to be like the two main topics I talk about. And of course, I would like you to watch the entire video because I have to explain both of these things. And there's going to be things within both of those topics I just said. So first off, supports are never at fault. That's like the first thing. So why are supports never at fault? Well, in these type of games, in hero shooters, it's a known thing that no one plays support or tank, right? The running joke at this point is that everyone plays damage. They all want kills. They all want to be flashy, but that's simply not true because supports and DPS have a pretty high number of players. Tank's really that only role that like falls back in the category of like people wanting to play it. But that stigma, there's a stigma that they're always right? That stigma has led people to assume that if you're support, you are the most important person on your team, which just simply isn't true. All the roles are important. Not a single one is more important or better than another one. And this is very much true because you can play a game on comp and you can have a great tank and a great support, but if your DPS isn't killing anyone, you lose the game. Or if you have a great DPS and supports, but your tank keeps dying or does something stupid, you lose the game. And same with everything else. You have great tank and DPS, but your supports are bad, you lose the game. Like, they're all balanced to each other. They're all important. There's no like, okay, my supports are sucking, so I'm still gonna have to carry to win. No, they're more than likely not gonna happen. And again, I'm not saying carrying isn't possible, because it 100% is, but to the extent that people are saying it, it just doesn't happen, like, at all. And I think that stigma also comes in from support. No one wanted to play support, because it is the second most played after DPS. Let's be honest. When this game was in its beta and alpha stages, people were begging for role queue because they assumed the general public would not play support or tank, which again isn't true. It's just not. In my experience, there are very seldom games where there's not at least 2 supports, maybe even 3. There's really not. And of course, that is also because I also play support. So if I do need to go support, I will go support. But that's not even most games. Like if I get to choose first, I'll sometimes choose support first, or sometimes choose DPS first. But even if I choose DPS first, there's usually always 2 supports. Like I rarely have to switch. And with that stigma also comes the victim complex of support players because, oh, I'm a support player, I can do no wrong. That's not true. Support players, you can win and lose games just like any other role. Like honestly, I like to say that while they're all important, you might have to pop an ult at the most important time in the game, right? You might have to defensively react to a Star-Lord ult or a Punisher ult, right? And you don't ult, and then now you lose that fight, maybe even the game, right? You could do that, and then somehow, some way, people will find a way to support you. Oh, you're playing support. You were doing your best. No, you lost your team the game, and that's okay. Everyone does it once in a while. Just don't do it as much, okay? No, that's not how that works. You have to, you lost the game. There's no sugarcoating it. Sorry. A great example I'm going to use is that whenever there's a dive-heavy comp against whatever comp my team has, and we don't have like a Luna or Mantis, some of the first things that come into that chat room is, I need more peel, which, okay, I'll peel more for you, right? It's a giant black monster Venom. I'll peel for you, right? But then sometimes they just keep dying, and at some point they get angry, right? It's gonna, oh, you're not peeling enough, and they're like Adam Warlock, right? Now again, there's nothing wrong with Adam. I think Adam's a good choice, but there's 2 of you usually, and you 2 can't deal with the diving Venom, right? Even with our peel, you just keep dying. Sometimes you just have to switch to Mantis or Luna or something, right? Adam's not really good against dive because he has no CC really, right? He can't always press the E button and soul bomb with people, but most of the time, Luna or Mantis can, right? And if you were to go Mantis, okay, you sleep him, okay, ping him. Now we're all converging on this Venom to kill him, right? Or Luna, you freeze him with you can freeze people for 3 seconds. You can run into your team, be like, hey, ping him. He's trying to touch me, and boom, that deals with that. And of course, this isn't just a support strategic problem. A lot of roles, they're like, oh, I can't swap. Actually, no, that's not true. Tanks always swap when they need to. I don't know if that's because Overwatch 2 like scared them and freaking gives them flashbacks to World War II, but they switch when they need to. They know when they can't play Magneto or when they can't play Venom, they know they'll switch to someone else, right? But supports and DPS, they never switch. They always want to blame someone else a little bit. And sometimes blame is to be assigned. Sometimes it isn't your fault, but also sometimes the fact that you're not playing the most optimal person against a dive comp is a reason. You both don't even have to switch. Only one of you usually will need to switch. I prefer Mantis because the sleep is a lot easier to hit, but that's just me. Okay, so that was the first one, right? Supports are never at fault. We scratched that one off the list. Explained it. I think I did a pretty good job. I think you should like, comment, subscribe if I did a good job. Like that plug, I did too. But let's go on to the second one. Support is the hardest role to be great at, but it's the easiest to play. And I'll explain. Now, in Marvel Rivals, what do you do when you're a strategic / support role? You heal. That is like all of their main things. Healing. Some do a little bit of extra utility like Mantis and her damage boost and Rocket and his revive. But the main thing they also do is heal. Like 90% of them heal. And that can lead to something called heal botting. Now, any player can simply go Luna and left click every person on the team and help them win the game. It's not hard to do because her healing is so good that it's simple to just heal bot your way through every game. And maybe have the occasional Q press. And that's awesome that you're enjoying the game the way you are, but that also comes to the issue that they think that they are better than what they are. Because in their mind, okay, we all know Strategist is the easiest role to climb in easily, right? So if you can play Luna, right, and just left click your teammates and press Q occasionally, you win these games. Now you're, let's say Diamond. You're Diamond 3 or Diamond 1, whatever the first Diamond rank is. But you would be like Platinum 3 or Platinum 1, whatever the first one is, if you actually have to think. But in your head, you're Diamond 3. I'm better than whatever percentage of the player base is under Diamond 3. And that leads to an ego that is highly kept unchecked because, again, supports are never at fault. It's never a support's fault. That Sigma, yeah, that comes into play here. And then you might start to plateau at like the higher Diamond ranks, and then you realize that, okay, maybe I'm not that good, but I'm still here. So you start lashing out at your teammates, blah, 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 blah. That's a whole video for another time about tilting and all that. So yeah, heal botting. That's what I mean by it's the easiest to play, but it's the hardest role because a lot of support players, strategic players, they heal bot. They're not really thinking. They're just seeing injured person in their healing. They're not thinking that like, oh, if I freeze that Hela, that Venom, my Venom can get a free kill. They're not thinking in any like higher sense of the imagination. That's like, that sounded so mean. Example that I like to use is that when I'm playing Mantis, I like to damage boost whenever my other support ulted because it's Luna or it's Invisible Girl, be serious, or Cloak and Dagger, like it's healing them. So there's no point for me to press my healing leaf because you're getting healed already. If they're staying in this box or circle or whatever the freak Cloak and Dagger draws, they're getting healed. So the first thing that comes to my mind is damage boost. Damage boost, so they're getting healed and extra damage, right? Some support players or strategic players will never achieve that amount of semblance in their head, ever. And does not exist, but it's just true. And I'm not saying that's any sort of higher thinking, but I am saying that like I am trying to maximize my ability to support this team. And if that requires me not healing while there's a healing ultimate going off and doing damage boost instead, then that's what requires it, right? Again, some people just never think that. So again, that's what I mean by support is the hardest role to be great at. Because, okay, tank, anyone can take space. I'm not a good tank player, but I do know the role. I do know the point. I need to just take space. And if that requires me swinging as Venom and just landing in the back line and getting attention, that's all it requires, right? And again, I'm not saying tank isn't like, I had to be only dumb people play tank. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying I understand the point. In DPS too, like, okay, your point is to kill people, right? Of course, it gets more complicated than that, but that's the point. Kill people, damage them, make their supports do something, make their tanks do something, attention, blah, 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 tank, take space. But a support is supposed to keep your team alive, help them stay alive, and keep them in the fight as best and as long as you can. So a great tank's role is to take space. A great support should be able to maximize their ability to support their team, all right? And not a lot of supports do that. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen some of the dumbest support. I honestly think support might have the dumbest people whenever they're stupid. Like, honestly, I've seen some dumb things in Rivals during like this first month and a half of release, but I've seen moments where supports just do things that make no sense. But yeah, that's a video for, that's a rant for another time. But supports can also change the flow of games with their skill, right? Honestly, I don't really get angry when a Mantis just blows their ultimate. I really don't. If it's a fight that like it's just locked and you know that like I pop a ult but like no one will respond, you should probably, like, not probably, but like I won't be mad because you're trying to do something, right? You're at least trying to do something, and we still have like Luna or like Cloak ult or Invisible Woman ult, right? But a great ult or a great support can really change the flow of a game with their skill, because again, if you're playing Mantis, I'm going to use Mantis, I've been playing her a lot recently. If you're playing Mantis and you know when and how to play aggressive at the right times with ult or not, your value goes up instead of just healing all game in the backline. Like, sometimes when I'm Mantis, I just throw a sleep in. I honestly just throw a sleep in because I feel confident in myself that I can handle with dives, right? Like, as soon as I throw a sleep, F button, damage boost myself, and then put a healing thing on my healer, just on my other healer, just in case I get dove at that time. But like, even then, if I throw a random sleep and I'm able to sleep like their tank and put that shield down for like a good 2 seconds, that's value that like I can't even describe. Like, and if I get dove at the same time, well, guess what? Again, I'm confident in myself that I can handle it with my other healer, because I mean that's all you need sometimes, just confidence, right? So if I'm able to sleep someone on the other team, heal my other healer, and damage boost myself, as well as healing at least one other person on my team, as well as doing damage on top of all that, that is so much more value than just me waiting, sitting in the back with my sleep, using it for no reason, right? Just not using it at all, and then just healing or damage boosting. There's so much more value with like the first set of parameters I gave. But again, all the roles, they're hard, and they all need each other to do well, because if there's one lacker, then you probably lost the game. I'm not going to lie. But that's really all I had to say. So all in all, supports, them never being at fault, that's a bad thing, you know, because a lot of them just heal bot, and that's okay to a certain rank maybe, but there's so much more you can be doing as a support player, and you need to drop the ego. I think everyone needs to drop their ego at least once, right? Just look inside and be like, maybe I could have healed more. Because I'm not gonna lie, I've played Luna a few times this past month. This entire month of January, I've kind of been like, I made Luna as like my main support, but I've been like low heal numbers, so I just switched to Mantis this month because like I'm putting on stankers. Like, what am I doing? I'd be mad too. Being able to just drop the ego and be like, okay, I need to switch healers or I need to switch roles. That's all you need to do, really. That's all you need to do. And start taking accountability for what you did wrong. It's really not hard. Like, again, Luna, I missed some snowballs sometimes. Like last night, that could have like killed someone like in a very important time. But we still won the game, thankfully. But I'm thinking back on that moment like, oh wow, if I hit the snowball there, we wouldn't even have to have this stress in our hearts, you know? And we need to stop victim blaming these supports too. We need to stop. We cannot let them run wild. I say that as a support player. Now, do I think picking on a support player is kind of like crazy to do mid-game? Maybe a little bit. Maybe a lot. But still, even then... And that's really all I have to say in this video. This video was like heavily inspired by a video I saw by a starbms or starbms. Hope we don't have a baby mom. Starbms, I like his content. Like it a lot. You should subscribe to him. Great Magic player. I like his takes. I like his takes a lot. I think he's honest. I think he's a great person. I don't know him, but like he's probably a great person. So yeah, shout out to him. This is where this video was heavily inspired from. But yeah, so like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. Probably gonna be about Luna Snow Oat or something. I don't know.